He came to the Marchetti estate to close a deal. He never expected to find the woman he had lost. He definitely never expected the child who carried his eyes in a face that was not his own. The black SUV rolled through the iron gates at 4:15. Dante Romano sat in the back seat, one hand resting on his knee, his expression unreadable, the same expression he wore to funerals, to negotiations, to the kind of rooms where men decided other men's fates over glasses of scotch that cost more than most people's rent. His underboss, Caruso, rode in the front. Neither of them spoke. There was nothing left to say before a sit-down like this one. The Marchetti estate sat at the edge of Chicago's Gold Coast like a limestone crown. 4 stories of old European architecture, ivy crawling up the north face, grounds that stretched back into manicured darkness. Don Enzo Marchetti had built his fortune the same way Dante had built his, quietly, ruthlessly, and with a very clear understanding of what the word loyalty actually cost. Today, they were here to talk about the merger of their territories and about the wedding that was supposed to seal it. 3 weeks from now, Dante was supposed to marry Enzo's niece, Valentina Esposito. Valentina was sharp-tongued and beautiful and perfectly suited to a man in Dante's position. He felt nothing when he looked at her. He had stopped expecting to feel anything at all. The front doors opened before he reached the top step. A Marchetti soldier held the door, eyes forward, the way soldiers did when they wanted to exist as little as possible. Dante stepped into the foyer. Marble floors. A chandelier the size of a small boat. Oil paintings of men who had been dead for 60 years, but somehow still looked like they were judging you. That was when he saw her. She was moving down the grand hallway, a silver tray balanced in both hands, her pace unhurried and precise. She wore the Marchetti house uniform, taken from him, was a kind of loss he didn't know how to carry in a body that had already been hollowed out by too many of them. He had been wrong to believe it. He understood that now, sitting in Don Marchetti's study, watching the old man's hands move over a map of Chicago's South Side. He had been wrong, and somewhere in this house, in a room he hadn't found yet, was the proof. He found the proof before 8 o'clock. He had asked to use the restroom and taken the long route back, moving through the service corridor near the kitchen, the part of the house that the family never saw, where the real work happened. He heard the boy before he saw him. A child's voice, high and clear, was narrating something elaborate about a race car that apparently needed wings. Dante pushed open the half-open door to the staff break room. The boy was sitting cross-legged on the floor, a small figure in dark trousers and a navy sweater, a toy car gripped in his fist. He was maybe 4, maybe 5, with Clara's full mouth and her wide forehead and the way she had of holding her head slightly tilted when she was thinking hard. And he had Dante's eyes. Exactly. The same dark, sharp cut of them. The same slight heaviness in the upper lid. Dante had seen that face in mirrors for 40 years. He would have recognized it in a hurricane. The boy looked up at the sound of the door. He didn't look frightened, just curious, assessing, the way children do when they're used to a house full of strangers. "Hi," said the boy. Dante's throat had closed. He managed, somehow, to keep his voice level. "Hey, buddy, what are you racing?" "A Formula One car." The boy held it up for inspection.
We moved
but
tonight.
I made it fly.
What about the
Cars
patrols?
can fly if they go
They're
fast
handled.
enough.
Stick to the
Is
plan.
that right?
Understood.
Isaiah. Clara's voice came from behind Dante, sharp and soft at the same time.
He turned.
She stood in the doorway, her uniform immaculate, her face a careful nothing. "Come with Mama. I told you to stay at the table." "I was just talking to the man." "I see that. Come on, baby." The boy, Isaiah, climbed to his feet with the boneless ease of small children and crossed to his mother, pressing into her side. Clara's hand came down on his shoulder immediately. Automatic, the gesture of a woman whose body had been protecting that child since before he could walk. "Go to the kitchen. Ask Mrs. Ferrara for a biscuit. 1, 2, 1.5. A flicker of something passed through Clara's expression, love, and Valentina? The wedding. The name landed between them like a stone. "The wedding doesn't happen," Dante said flatly. "That was decided the moment I saw you in that hallway." Clara stared at him. "You're going to blow up a family alliance." I'm not marrying a woman I don't love while you're standing 40 miles away raising my son. His voice came out harder than he intended. That part is not negotiable. Whatever else we decide tonight, that part is finished. Something moved across Clara's face. Not softness exactly. Something more complicated. Something that had once been hope and had learned to be careful about showing itself. And then what? She asked quietly. You come to his school plays? You pick him up on weekends in a car with tinted windows and 2 men in the front seat? You explain to a 4-year-old why he can't tell his friends his father's name. We figured out. Together. You keep saying that like it's simple. I know it isn't simple. Do you? Clara turned away, pressing her fingers to her mouth for a moment. When she turned back, her eyes were bright but dry.
I'm not
Dante,
going anywhere.
I worked in your house for 2 years.
I know.
I saw what that world costs. I saw what it costs the people around you who don't have the protection of your name or your power. I left with my coat and $8,000 and a threat, and I built something from nothing. This job, a decent apartment, a preschool for Isaiah that has a garden and a reading hour, and no reason in the world to know anything about the Romano family. I did that.
Me.
And I will burn it down before I let it be taken from him.
Dante stopped pacing.
He looked at her, really looked at her, the way he hadn't allowed himself to do since he walked into this estate 5 hours ago. The lines around her eyes that hadn't been there before. The slight tension she carried in her shoulders. Always now, that was the permanent posture of a woman who had learned to wait for the next threat. She had built a life. She had protected their son. And she was right. She was completely and entirely right. And that was the thing that was cracking him open from the inside. I know what I'd be bringing into his life, he said slowly. I know exactly what it costs to be connected to me. Then you know why I'm saying what I'm saying. Yes. He looked at her. And I know you're right. The words fell into the cold air between them. Clara went very still. I'm not going to stop wanting to know him, Dante said. I want you to understand that. That part doesn't change. But I also know what my wanting costs other people. I've always known. I just used to be able to ignore it. Clara watched him, waiting. He can't have my name. Not publicly. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Not while I'm what I am. And I won't come to his school or his soccer games or any place where someone with a long memory and a camera could connect his face to mine. Dante's voice was quiet now, stripped of everything but the truth, and Dante had the power to shatter that safety simply by showing up. So he didn't show up. He made other arrangements. 3 months later, Clara opened an envelope that had no return address. Inside was a single page, a bank confirmation. An anonymous trust had been established in Isaiah Washington's name. The attached letter, typed and signed, said only, for school. For whatever he needs. It will not run out. She stood in her kitchen for a long time, holding the paper. She didn't call anyone. There was no one to call, no name to attach to it, no trail that led anywhere. She had looked. Carefully. The kind of careful that comes from 5 years of learning to be invisible. There was nothing. Only the number, which was real, and the trust, which was real, and the certainty that settled into her chest like something she had no word for. She folded the paper, put it in the drawer with Isaiah's birth certificate and the photograph she had taken the day he learned to ride a tricycle. His face lit up with a kind of joy that children carry like a gift before the world starts asking them to trade it away. She stood at the kitchen window for a long moment. The city moved beyond the glass, indifferent and alive. Mama. Isaiah padded in behind her, Gerald the octopus tucked under his arm. Can I have cereal? It's 9 o'clock at night. Cereal can be a nighttime thing. It cannot. But she turned, and she scooped him up, and she held him in the way that mothers hold the things they have protected at great cost, fully, fiercely, with the quiet knowledge of everything it took. You're squishing Gerald, Isaiah said. Gerald will survive. She pressed her face into her son's hair. Tell me about your day. On the other side of the city, a black car sat on a quiet street near a preschool with a garden and a reading hour. Dante Romano sat in the back seat. He was watching the gate. In 20 minutes, pickup would begin, and the yard would fill with children and parents and the particular beautiful noise of small people at the end of a day. He He wasn't going in. He had made that decision and he was keeping it. But he had found, in the 3 months since the Marchetti estate, that there was a version of fatherhood available to him that existed only in these moments. A car on a quiet street, an unmarked distance, the knowledge that the boy inside that gate was warm and fed and learning and safe. Not because of luck, not because of accident, because someone had made it so, and would continue to make it so, and would never ask for credit. The gate opened. Children poured out. And then, navy sweater, backpack shaped like a shark, Formula One car clutched in his fist. Isaiah came through the gate. He stopped on the sidewalk, looked both ways with the exaggerated caution of a recently instructed 4-year-old, and then spotted his babysitter and broke into a run. He was laughing. Even from here, Dante could see it. The way the boy's whole face became the laugh, unguarded and enormous and entirely his own.